Hi everyone, it's Stephanie here, and today I have a fun shaker card to share that features some Winnie and Walters stamps to help celebrate their first birthday. I'm going to be using the Big, the Bold, and the Fun, as well as the Big Bang Confetti stamps to create this fun little shaker card. So to start off, I went ahead and pre-cut my white card piece here that I'm going to be using. I cut out a circle, the larger one, and then also cut out a smaller circle. And I'm basing this off of one of the sketch challenges that's available this month. They have all kinds of fun challenges on their blog to help celebrate their birthday for the month of January. And I'm doing two of them in this card here. So one is the sketch challenge and one is to create a shaker card. So I decided to combine them both together. So to start assembling my shaker card, I'm just going to add adhesive directly onto the back white panel, and I'm adding it right around the edge of the circle piece, and then I'm adding my acetate piece on top of that. So when I flip it over from the front view, you see the circle area and then the acetate window is nicely behind that. And then I'm going to add this foam creative sheet to the back area of this as well, and this is what I'm going to use to create the shaker portion. This is from Scrapbook Adhesives, and it comes in a 2-pack, one black and one white, and it works great for shaker cards because it's a foam material and it already has adhesive on both the front and back of it. So you can add it to the front panel of the card, and then you can add your second piece of acetate to the back area to create your shaker card. So it's super simple and super quick. So I went ahead and cut a circle out of this foam piece using a circle die that was slightly larger than the one I had already cut out of my card front. And now I'm going to add some fun seed beads into this open circle area. I decided it would be fun to use beads rather than just sequins. So I have this Craftmates container full of different colors of seed beads. I bought this huge set at Michael's on clearance, and rather than leave them in the big weird container that they came in, I decided to use one of these that I store all my sequins in anyway. And I just sorted them all by color and put them into these little containers. And I just use the little spoons that I use for embossing powder to scoop out the beads when I want to use them. It just helps because they're so tiny that they make a mess when you try and lift them out with your fingertips. So the spoon just really helps to get them all out. And then you can just go ahead and add them into your shaker area. So I used some neutral colors. I used clear and silver, and then I used a light pink color, and then just a tiny bit of the darker pink color, just for some contrast in color. But I really wanted it to be mainly silvers, clears, and pinks, just because I really like how they look together. And then before I fully adhered the shaker card together, I did decide to add some clear sequins in as well, just to give a little bit more contrast and dimension on the inside of the shaker. And then you can see there I just pulled that adhesive backing directly off that foam piece and added my second piece of acetate because I want to be able to see through this and not have a back piece. I added acetate directly onto the back area. And then I cut a piece of my card base, which I had already scored and top folded. I cut a hole into that as well in the same spot that it was on that white panel. And then when I adhered it on top, I had a fully open circle that lets you see right to the inside of the card. So just a fun take on a shaker card that lets you see into your card, and then you can add your sentiment directly behind or a stamped image or whatever you'd like if you want something to kind of show through that open transparent area. So now that I have the shaker portion complete, I'm going to go ahead and create the sentiment area. So I'm still following the sketch and decided to use a banner and then add my sentiment onto that, and then add part of my sentiment onto the circle area. So I went ahead and stamped the word shine onto the banner with Versamark ink, and then I completely covered it with silver metallic platinum embossing powder from Wow, and I heat set that so that it ends up being a fun shiny silver color to kind of tie it into the beads and the sequins that I have on the inside of the shaker area. And now I'm just kind of figuring out where I want to position these and how I want the banner to sit on the card in relation to the open area as well as the smaller circles that I've cut down. And those are just a white piece of Nina Solar White cardstock as well as a glittery pink piece of paper that I'm going to use as a mat, and that's going to help tie into the pink colored sequins and seed beads that we've put into the shaker card. So I'm stamping my sparkle and the two smaller words that I'm using to go with sparkle and shine, and I'm just using VersaFine black onyx ink and stamping these directly onto the top area of the circle piece so that when I tuck this underneath the banner, that part of the sentiment will kind of peek out from the top area. So I'm positioning it on there and making sure that everything's going to fit okay. And then I realized that where I want to position the banner, the bottom area of the circles is going to kind of poke down underneath, and I don't really want to see that. I just want it to look like the circle disappears into the banner area. So I'm just going to take my scissors and cut the bottom area off of both the matte piece and the circle stamped piece, and then glue those together, and then go ahead and adhere all the parts completely onto the front of the card base there. And this is pretty close to what the sketch shows. I just, rather than have the two banners, I decided just to use the one. So I adhered those together and positioned them exactly how I wanted them. And I went ahead and adhered the circle part with just plain adhesive right onto the card front flat. And then I used foam adhesive on the banner to adhere that on so that it was kind of raised up off the card and had a little bit more dimension than just it laying flat against the card. And then I also made sure before I adhered the banner piece on that I had cut the edge off so that it didn't have any overhang on the card once I had it completed. So now you can see there I have the sentiment completely attached, and you can see through that shaker portion right to the inside of the card. Now, since I have so much white space on the card, I decided that I wanted to add some sequins and some additional stamping onto the white area around the sentiment and the shaker piece. So I'm just using the Big Bang confetti stamp set, and I'm using some of the circle images and some of the star images, and just using some really light inks to go ahead and stamp those around the area before I add the sequins on. Now, this is Insulation Pink ink from My Favorite Things, and it's a super, super light pink ink, and I don't even think you can see it stamping onto the card in this video, but it's definitely there, and it just gives a nice, soft look to the stamping without it being overpowering, because I don't really want it to take over the card. I want the shaker and the sentiment that we've done to be the main focus, but I just wanted some additional detail around the rest of the area of the card. So I just used some pink, and then I also used some gray ink, a really light gray, and stamped the same image around as well. Then to finish it off, I added sequins, just plain clear ones, 4mm in size, and I also filled the center area of the sequins with silver stickles, and then also added a few dots of silver stickles on its own. And then that completes the card for today. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Happy first birthday to Winnie and Walter. Make sure to check out their blog for all the fun challenges this month. Thanks for watching.